Good morning everybody and welcome to my first assembly of the year. I have to say it's the first assembly I've ever given recording into my mobile phone, but I think it's something for us to get used to over the course of the year as we do things slightly differently. Really pleased to welcome you all back to school and what's been a very strange time for everybody, staff and students alike. I know many of you have had lots of very challenging circumstances to deal with these past 6 months. I hope you and your families are well, and I hope you've managed to get through those difficult times together. I'm very pleased that we're back together as a school now, and hopefully we can move to a sense of the new normal by being back at Kelmscott very soon. But the new normal still isn't normal, is it, for any of us? There's lots for us to get used to in terms of our new routines and the new ways of doing things. Getting used to all things bubbles, to making sure that we're only operating in those year group bubbles that we're talking about. And really important, and I'll talk about in a short while, that we're socially distancing from one another, particularly teachers from students and vice versa. And really important, each and every lesson that you are sanitising and washing your hands to make sure that we're looking after ourselves to ensure that the virus doesn't spread. So we've moved to a 3-session day from a 5-lesson day, and the rationale behind that was to try and reduce the amount of moving around that you have to do as students and that teachers have to do as well. Teachers will be moving from one bubble to the next after a different session, and we wanted to make sure that there was a break time or a lunch time or the end of the day after each of those sessions to make that transition as smooth as it can possibly be. Also, to get your heads around, of course, the different gates, different exit and entry points to the school each morning for you. So very important you understand how that's going to work, and of course an allocated playground for all of you for your break time and lunch time as well. So I think we're all feeling very differently about the new normal, about the situation that we find ourselves in currently. Some people are very anxious, even frightened about schools reopening and society opening more widely. Some people are very relaxed about it and are ready for it and are fine with it. And that's the continuum, I suppose, that we're dealing with. And it's absolutely fine to be wherever you are on that continuum. I think it's really important we recognise there's no right or wrong way to be feeling, and that we respect how each and every person is feeling about their return to school in this way. And having that empathy and that respect and that kindness of people is going to be very important in the next few days and the next few weeks. So be very sensitive to how people are feeling. I think the default assumption is to presume that your peers do want to socially distance from you. So do make sure there's 2 metres between you and your peer groups when you're lining up for lessons, break times, lunch times and those sorts of things. And certainly, please presume that your teachers do want to socially distance. I've made it very clear to staff that they must be 2 metres away from students, and that's a directive that we've received from the government and also from the local authority as well. So please be respectful about that socially distance between yourselves and the staff here at school. So just to reiterate, 2 things that we'll be taking very seriously at school is that students stay within their year group bubbles. If students were to leave their year group bubbles, the consequences for that would be very serious, and students must remain 2 metres away from staff at school. And again, students who were deliberately not doing that would find themselves in serious trouble and with some serious consequences as a result. I really appreciate your support on that in advance. So we really want to be able to concentrate on just teaching you this year. We want to be able to equip you with the skills that you need to be able to operate on a global stage. We don't want to be spending time disciplining students for misbehaviour, putting students into detention, etc. This year of all years is not about that. It's just about continuing with your education, and we don't want anything to get in the way of that at all. So just to talk about last year's Year 11 for a few moments, as I always tend to do in the first assembly of the year. We welcomed Year 11 back to collect their results in the same way that they usually would, although with some social distancing, of course, just a few weeks ago, and it was great to see so many happy and smiley faces on the day, and students able to get off to college after they left us to enrol on the courses that they wanted to enrol on. Now, GCSE results looked different this year. Year 11s were awarded grades that their teachers gave to them, centre assessed grades they were called, or CAGs, and that was the grade that each teacher at Kelmscott felt that each individual student would achieve if they sat their exams in the summer, which they weren't able to do, of course, this year. And then departments worked together once individual teachers had done some predictions to make sure that those grades were fair, and to make sure that all the students were kind of compared against each other, to make sure that we were happy with the grades that were awarded. And I wonder, as you sit here listening to this assembly this morning, what your teachers would say about your potential, about your attitude to your studies. And if teachers were having to pin their sail to the mast and decide on a grade for you for each of your individual subjects today, this morning, what would they say about you? And of course, if you're in year 7, you've just started your journey with us, but I wonder what first impression you've made in your first few days. If you're in year 10 and this is your 4th year now with us, what will your teachers be predicting for you? And teachers used a number of different things to predict those CAGs. They obviously used assessment, things like mock exams, tests in class, classwork, but they also used indicators to do with students' attitude. So how well did they engage with homework? If there were extracurricular opportunities or catch-up clubs put on for a certain subject, did a student attend those and make the most of those opportunities? And all of those things came together to come up with that final predicted grade. I think it's really, really important that every student in the school begins to think about that and tries to influence, in a sense, the impression that teachers have got of you, and in turn what predicted grade they might make for you if they find themselves in a similar situation in the years to come. Many real successes for Year 11 cohort just gone, the class of 2020. I'll begin by talking about for Springboard students. I remember talking to you all this time last year as Ida, our ex-head girl, was going off to Epsom College for the first time. And I laid down the gauntlet, in a sense, to the Year 11s in particular, and said, I wonder who I'll be talking about this time next year. Well, here we are this time next year, and I'm really thrilled to be talking about 4 students who have made the jump and achieved on the Springboard programme. We'll start with Camden Varden, who many of you will remember. Stunning set of results for Camden, many 9s, many 8s, and a handful of 7s as well. And she's off to Sevenoaks School, a wonderful school in Kent, where she's going to be studying the International Baccalaureate, a world-renowned qualification that she's going to be pursuing. Zayan Afzal from last year's Year 11 too goes down to the City of London Freeman School, which is also in Epsom, actually a few miles away from where Ida is, and he's going down there to study A-levels. We then have Giannina Savu, last year's head girl, joined us in Year 8 with 0 English, couldn't speak a word of English, but threw herself into every single thing that was offered to her at Kelmscott, worked exceptionally hard, and has now got a place at a wonderful public school in West Sussex called Lancing College. So another really fantastic school. And last but not least, we've got Musa Hussain. Musa, who did really, really well in Year 11, got himself involved in lots actually in Year 10 and Year 11, was the bronze medal winner in the Speak Out Challenge in Year 10, some of you might remember, and he takes up his place at the Whitgift School in Surrey, another stunning school, all of whom have got their 6th form boarding school place fully funded, and I know will go on to really great things. So here I am again, September 2020, throwing down the gauntlet, particularly to the new Year 11s, but to those of you lower down the school as well. Who will I be talking about in years to come, who has grabbed these opportunities in Kelmscott, done exceptionally well with their GCSEs, and is now off to do great things? But it wasn't just about those 4 high flyers. So many other successes. I always like to talk about progress, more so than attainment. For me, it's about how far Summerlee has come since they've joined us here at Kelmscott, and stunning progress from many students, particularly our EAL students, our English as an additional language students, so those who often joined us late and often joined us with little or no English, and again smashing it out of the park in terms of how well they've done with their studies, how well they've done in terms of the progress they've made, and going off to some of our local colleges and sixth forms to pursue level 3 qualifications. So we're just as proud of them as we are of your Camdens and your Mooses and the ones who have joined the Royal Springboard pathway. So stunning sets of results for year 11, and the gauntlet well and truly thrown down now for year 11 this year, to hopefully better, and I'm confident they will, to better the results of the class of 2020. And so to this year's motto. Last year's annual motto, we have a different one each year, was work hard, be kind. Something that we're not going to leave behind. That's something we're going to take into this year and always, I hope, as there's no more important things to do actually than working hard and being kind at this school. But this year we wanted a motto that did 2 things. Firstly, we wanted a motto that responded to all of the challenges we've been facing to do with COVID-19. And we also wanted something that began to address the Black Lives Matter agenda that you will have been reading about in the press and the media these past few months. We spent a long time discussing this as a staff and discussing this as a senior leadership team. And eventually we came up with a quote. It doesn't always have to be a quote, our motto, but we felt this one encapsulated what we were trying to achieve this year in terms of the motto exceptionally well. And it's by a gentleman called Frederick Douglass, who was an American civil rights activist in the United States of America. Back in the day. It's my assemblies again in a few weeks' time when we get to Black History Month, and I hope to be sharing a little bit more information at that stage about Frederick Douglass, who's a really inspirational man and somebody that we can learn an awful lot from. But this particular quote of his captures everything that we're trying to do this year. And the motto is as follows: be strong, be cheerful, and be brave. And we really hope that everyone is able to encapsulate those words and that motto during the course of this year. And we'll be spending some time during tutor time and in lessons kind of working out how we can all do our best to encapsulate those words for this year. So be strong, be cheerful, be brave. Talking of the Black Lives Matter agenda, this is something we're going to be returning to with students later this term. A group of staff led by Mr. Jones, other Mr. Jones, are going to be doing some work on this over the next few weeks to see how we can best respond as an institution to the Black Lives Matter agenda. We're a school that's always actively sought and celebrates diversity, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's sexuality, whatever it is. Diversity is something that we're exceptionally proud of here at Kelmscott, and looking forward to seeing your response as a student body, as I know that you will want to respond to that, and working out the ways in which we can change as an institution to better ourselves, and hopefully getting some sustainable plans in place for all of us, staff and students alike, to make sure that we're leading the way in our community in this regard. Despite the obvious challenges of last academic year, there were also many successes of which we can be very proud too. I think our response to the behaviour ladders and the improved behaviour we saw right across the school last year was particularly impressive. An incredible improvement when it came to punctuality across the year groups too. A really successful Ofsted visit and everything that came with that. And of course our response as a community to the COVID-19 situation as well, which we're very proud of too. And I've got absolutely no doubt that this year too will be an incredibly successful year for us all. I've talked about the many opportunities that are available to each and every student here at Kelmscott. And this year, I implore you to grab those opportunities with 2 hands. Opportunities in the classroom every single day to show your teachers and give of your best. Opportunities too outside of the classroom. That will be no different this year. There will be those extracurricular opportunities that we provide for you. We're fine-tuning what they're going to look like, and I hope to have more information about that in the next few weeks. But influence your teacher's perception on you as a student in the classroom, as a student outside of the classroom as well, and please grab all of those opportunities with 2 hands. It has been a very busy 6 months or so in terms of improvements that we've made to the building around the school. And even though you're all in your own bubbles, so might not see all of the improvements that we've made, an awful lot has happened. Firstly, the remodelling of 3 classrooms, 303, 107 and 110, all of which have been completely gutted and completely changed and improved for this year. New furniture, new everything in there. So if you're lucky enough to be in one of those bubbles, then please do enjoy those spaces. I think that's a sign of things to come. Certainly it's my mission as your head teacher to make sure that every single classroom in this school looks as smart and has the sorts of facilities that we can be exceptionally proud of. Our new school canteen is nearly finished. There's a slight delay on the building works, as is often the way, and it looks as if it's not going to be finished now until probably October half term. But it's starting to look really fantastic over at the front of school there. I can't wait for you all to use that once we're back into a normal way of working, hopefully sometime after the Easter holidays. And lastly, the boys' toilets in the annex have had a complete refurbishment as well, so brand new toilets for the boys. And again, I promise we'll be looking to do something similar in the other toilets, girls' toilets and other boys' toilets and girls' toilets around the school as well over the next few years. I really want this to be a school that you can be exceptionally proud of, all right, in terms of your experience in the classroom, but also in terms of our facilities. I want us to be able to compete with every other school in the borough and every other school in London, frankly, and beyond. And making sure, as I say, that you guys are exceptionally proud of that. So I hope you enjoy those new facilities, and certainly there's a commitment on my part as your head teacher to make sure that we upgrade other areas of the school as well over the coming months and coming years. So I think there's some real momentum beginning to build at Kelmscott, and members of the community are starting to see that we're a school on the move. We're a school that is rapidly improving month by month, year by year. As a result of that, we are full for the first time in year 7. First time, certainly in the time that I've worked here as head teacher and as deputy head teacher, so in the last 5 years that we've been full in year 7 at this point. So much so actually that the borough asked us to take on an additional class in year 7. So instead of the 6 tutor groups that we normally have, we've got 7 this year because there were so many families that wanted to send their sons and daughters to Kelmscott, which is amazing news and testament, I think, to all of the hard work from the staff here in school, but actually testament to the students in the school as well and how you've responded, particularly in the last 12 months, and I'm exceptionally grateful for that. So those high standards that we set last year will continue this year, and I know you're aware now of the new mobile phone rule, another way of us kind of putting learning first, I suppose, and allowing you to concentrate on your studies and not have something like mobile phones or technology impinge on that. So thank you for your cooperation with that. I was sad last year to lose probably about 10 or 12 students at the end who couldn't live up to the high standards and high expectations that we have at Kelmscott. I'm really hoping this year is different. I'm really hoping that we don't lose anybody, but it is vitally important that you do live up to the very high standards that we all have for you here at Kelmscott. They are standards that I know every single person can live up to. You have to work hard at that. You have to make sure that you understand what the expectations are, and then you've got to put the effort in to make sure that you're living and breathing those rules each day. But I know that if we do that, then we've got a much better chance of getting you the GCSEs and the skills and dispositions that you need to be successful once you leave Kelmscott. One new addition that I'm really excited about this year for year 7 to year 10 is our brand new tutor reading programme. I know your form tutors will have spoken this through in more detail with you, but I'm really excited about the launch of that programme, which hopefully, all things being well, you're listening to this on Wednesday, and tomorrow, Thursday, will be the launch of that tutor reading programme. We've chosen some amazing books for you guys to experience. And I think when you really get into your reading and really get into your books, it's just like being in the best seat in the house at the cinema in terms of the incredible stories that we're going to be sharing with you through that tutor reading programme. So do please engage with that. It's there for enjoyment really, and in time we really hope that you will enjoy listening to those books being read to you, but it's also going to have a huge positive impact on your progress as students at this school and beyond, and will help you make success of your studies here, your GCSEs, as I've mentioned previously in the assembly, building those skills to be successful after you've left us. So despite everything that is going on, despite everything that has gone on, now we're back. We're back at school, and it's time to put learning first. It's time to embody last year's motto, work hard, be kind, and to really engage with this year's motto, be strong, be cheerful, be brave. Let's get back to it. Let's get you the best possible qualifications that we can get you. Let's work with your families to make you the most well-rounded, most skilled, most empathetic, incredible young people that we know that you can become. Very much looking forward to seeing you all over the next few days and weeks as I wander around school at breaks and lunch times. Looking forward to catching up with you, and I'll speak to you very soon. I'm back from my next assembly in a few weeks' time, and very much look forward to that. Take care, everyone.